68% of people are resistant to change. So because of that, it
Yes,
becomes
yes.
hard for an organization to change. So if we remember, uh, when Hutch became Vodafone few years back, if we remember the
Mm.
advertisement, the punchline in the advertisement, they kept on saying change is good. So what they're trying to understand, or the message they're trying to convey is, though the name is changing, this change is for good, basically. When we talk about the designation leader, now many organizations I have worked also, including my last organization, Accenture. There, at certain point of time, certain level, they give a designation called Accenture leadership. Many of the other organizations have different designation which has the word leader into it. Now the point is, if I have the word leader in my designation, does it really make me as a leader? Most of the time, in reality, no. Right? So designation is something, and the leadership trait or leadership style or leadership qualities, that is another completely different thing altogether. So if we look at the broad characteristics of the leadership or a leader, we found that usually most of the time they are good listener. So uh, again, if we go with the uh, terminology per se, most of them are active listener. So we will see what do we mean by active listening and all these things during this course itself. So one is active listening. Second, most of the time their emotional intelligence level is pretty high, or emotional quotient overall is high, which means at various different situation, depend, even if the situation is not that good or it is a kind of an adverse situation, but their way of reaction is not adverse. So what advantage do we get? Their reactions are kind of predictable. I mean, through their reaction, whatever the adverse situation it might be, they don't hurt other sentiment unless they want to, kind of. So control on the emotional outburst or emotional outcome. So that, again, that also we will cover during this course, emotional intelligence. Now what is the third one? Third one is communication or conversation. We call it in two ways, communication or conversation. So let's call it as communication. Any good leader, they're excellent communicator. I mean, I'm not only talking about
Yeah.
the corporate leaders, even
Oh,
other
yes,
leaders
yes.
also,
Yes.
including political leaders.
Yeah.
What is next? Next is leading a high performing team, to be precise. In that case, what happens is, if I am unable to manage the expectation of the team member, handle the team member, it becomes very, very, very difficult. It becomes very difficult. So again, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, another very important aspect is managing or handling a high performing team.
Okay.
Now, here, before, I mean, though we will be talking about all these things in details, but still I want to touch upon one area from my own experience. See, if my team members, most of my team members are not high performer
Mm.
as a leader or even as a manager, my job is actually comparatively easy, because they are, especially during the appraisal or other cases also, I mean, driving them to the closure and all these things becomes comparatively easy.
Mm.
Now what
Mm.
happens when almost all or every one of my team are high performer? It becomes, one side is good. I mean,
Good.
I as a leader or as a manager, I don't have to really break my head to drive those
হ্যাঁ,
folks.
হ্যাঁ।
But
অটোপাইলটে চলছে, হ্যাঁ।
autopilot, exactly. The whole system runs in autopilot. But
হুম।
the problem is
হ্যাঁ, এক্সপেকটেশন।
expectation
সবাই
and
আশা করছে সামথিং। হ্যাঁ,
exactly.
হ্যাঁ।
And another very important thing is, I mean, many of times, the team members, even though as an individual they are high performer, it's not always true that everyone will be a good team player. Now, the last one, the last section, last segment, what we are going to cover is 7 habits that almost all the successful people or successful leaders they demonstrate. So these 7 habits is basically based on Stephen Covey's
Stephen Covey's.
Covey's book, or I mean his theory.
Hmm.
So we'll be covering that as well. Now, before getting into the active listening part, which is our first chapter, one more important thing is, one more important quote, which I personally liked a lot, is the difference between manager and leader. As we started discussing that manager and leader, though the designation many of times kind of interchange and all these things, but through designation, we cannot really determine whether the person is a true leader or not.
Absolutely.
So, according to, or not according to, what Steve Jobs said, management is about persuading people to do things they do not want to. So I don't want to do something. So if I am a manager, I will persuade people to ensure that they do whatever is required to be done. While leadership is about inspiring people to do things they never thought they could do. Very, very, very powerful statement.
Manager is managing the
Exactly.
job out of you. Okay.
Correct.
By many means.
True.
But here leader is creating an environment where automatically he gets inspired to achieve, which is maybe unachievable.
Correct. Exactly. If we talk about leads or commands, okay, what is the big deal? What is the big difference? So the big difference is inspiration, guidance, coaching, and find out what other people are capable of doing it, and then get that job done by him. That is the essence. That is the essence of the whole thing. Now we will start with active listening skill.
Suppose when we recruit,
right?
I take interviews at
Correct.
the lowest level.
Right.
How to identify a leader?
Very true. Very true. See, the point is identifying a leader during the interview is I would say practically impossible. Very honestly.
Yes, yes.
It's not something which we can really judge in a half an hour, 1 hour kind of discussion. This is something which is people demonstrates in a longer run, longer period of time, basically.
But very there he's supposed to play the role of a leader.
Correct. Very good point.
He has to play.
Exactly. Very good point. So two ways we can do it. Number one is, I will not go with the very generic thing. If I am recruiting someone, or if I am onboarding someone at a position where that person is supposed to demonstrate leadership quality, or supposed to be a leader from day one, basically after onboarding. It's not an organic growth within the organization that we are hiring someone at the mid-level or mid-manager, and then based on certain things, the person will organically grow and might be able to reach to the leadership position or not. That's a secondary thing. That's easy. Now, if I am hiring someone, recruiting someone at the position where this person is supposed to be a leader from day one, in that case, most likely, that person, wherever his previous organization, whichever his previous organization or her previous organization, there also I am assuming that the person was handling the similar role. Say for example, a person is, if we go with the IT designation, a person is team leader, project manager, and I am hiring him or her as a very senior leadership position. That doesn't happen really. Now, in those cases, taking the reference and talk to their people, not only the supervisor, but the juniors also. See, seniors, many of times, again, a very common factor of reference check is get the supervisor's name, and speak to the supervisor, how is the person, blah 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 blah, and set of leadership
Absolutely.
quality. Actually, for me, if you
Hmm.
honestly ask me, we should ask the
No,
juniors,
that's a very good point.
the team members who were directly reporting to this person. They will be able to tell you of the things we can figure out. I mean, uh, very simple. I mean, when you had a problem or you wanted to
Ah,
discuss
ah.
something
Go-to
with him,
person.
huh, so was he a go-to person? When you were talking, had he used to always used to listen to you or
Hmm.
not paying attention?
Hmm.
When there's an adverse kind of situation, how he used to react? Is his
Hmm.
reaction or the outburst of emotional outburst was kind of erratic or rationalized
Hmm.
kind of thing? So মানে আমরা যেগুলো what all things we are going to cover in this course, based on that, if organization or the people who are hiring or who are recruiting manager, so if they frame a set of questions and ask few of that person's team members, it's possible. Not 100%, we can't guarantee 100%, but most likely at least 70-80% we should be able to reach there, which most of the people don't understand. I mean, most of us, we don't understand, and most of the organization, unfortunately, they don't understand or they don't want to
Absolutely.
understand is leadership is not about knowledge. Leadership has nothing to do with knowledge. I may have a fantastic skilled person. I may have I mean, knowledge wise, I might be excellent, extremely good, but still, I
Yes, yes.
might not be a leader.
Yes, yes.
I might not be a leader. I mean, not necessary that I will be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
So, leadership is something different. And
Different.
unfortunately, we don't pay attention. Very
Mm.
unfortunate.
Mm.
Neither we as an individual,
Mm.
nor many of the organization also, they don't pay attention. They don't care.
Mm.
I mean, in my career also, in 25 years, whatever I have seen,
Mm.
honestly, I got opportunity to work with only two people whom I
Mm.
really, I mean, look up to him or look up to both of them are actually leader. And then later on, when I started working on these areas and studying and all these things, get to know about the formal or official qualities and all these things, then I found that yes, I mean, as per my little knowledge, yes, they were demonstrating practically everything. Again, another quality of leadership is that person
Yes, yes.
is will be a disruptive person. They
Ah,
leaders don't like the status quo. They're
exactly.
all good leaders are all disruptive person.
Ah,
They want change. But
right.
unfortunately, in India, most of the organization, I will not say none, but most of the organization, they don't like disruption,
Mm.
be it IT, be it non-IT. So again, if we look at how many innovation happens, any industry, these are the actually qualities. They are the true
Qualities.
leaders. They are the true leaders where people really respect, look upon them. Very very inspiring.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, now if we come to the first characteristic or first trait of leadership, active listening. So if we talk about active listening to start with, many of times we feel that hearing and listening are same,
Ah.
but actually it is not.
Mm.
Next is listening response system analysis.
Mm. Mm.
Few points. One is avoid being critical or judgmental. Now, in this case, what happens? This type of listening usually increase the emotional level of the speaker.
Mm.
The speaker will become more and more emotional because of that.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Second,
Yes. Mm.
listen to the underlying meaning of what is said. Actually, what is the message is being given? Understand that message is very important. This helps to move to level one and build trust. What do we mean by EI, emotional intelligence?
Yeah.
What is the purpose? How it helps? Uh, theory wise or concept wise, and then few examples also. So, emotional intelligence, if we look at broadly, the purpose of the or the concept, not purpose, the concept of the whole thing is the way we react on various different events. An event occurred, and then we reacted to that particular event, to that particular situation. Now, here, couple of things we often make mistake. One, we often feel that our reaction is driven or controlled by the event. Meaning, say for example, I got upset. Why I got upset? Because of this incident. Because this has happened, that's why I got upset. Right? So I mean that's what we often think. But if we look little deeply, it's not so. I mean, the event would have some influential factor definitely, but that's not the all. It's the way our mental or brain is structured. Again, if we, I mean, since we were just now talking about this GBP concept, the way our brain is wired, the way our behavior is patterned, we react mostly based on that. Event is, yes, event is there, but it's not the only thing. It's not the only responsible thing basically for our behavior, kind of behavior. Now, uh, if we look at the what's in it for me kind of thing, why should I do it? Because many of times our behavior, as I was mentioning, our behavior, our reaction is dependent on certain situations, certain aspects, and many of times we tend to behave or react little erratically,
Yes. Yes.
irrationally, right? Uh, Sometimes it becomes unpredictable. Now, because of that, what happens is people around us, they started feeling little uncomfortable. People who are very close to us, be it family member or be it our team members, colleague with whom we usually spend 7, 8, 9 hours in a day. I mean, now if my behavior at certain stages or certain point of time became irrational or kind of not so nice, simple word, then what happens is those people will be scared ultimately, especially if we kind of if our outburst is very severe, kind of, in that case people will be scared. People will be scared to um, speak certain things to us, discuss certain things, or tell certain things to us, or give some news to us. Say for example, think about the situation. Our I mean, we are supposed to, as a team, we are supposed to meet one of our clients, our customers, who are very important customer. I mean, not a existing customer, new customer, prospect. Let's not call them as customer or him as customer, prospect. We are supposed to meet one prospect, a very potential prospect. And if we can crack the deal, that will be a pretty, hefty amount or good revenue. I mean, we'll be able to earn good revenue. Now, on the day of the actual meeting, I kind of fell sick. So, my second in command in the team, the second most or the most competent person, he or she had gone to meet the client or prospect. And because of some reason, that person screwed up the meeting. As a
Okay.
result of that,
Okay.
we have not got the order. I mean, it may so even happen that it might screw up the relationship also. Certain cases. So, if it is so bad, then we might not be able to go back to that person ever, or to that prospect ever. As a manager or as a lead, how am I supposed to react to this?
I depended on you.
Exactly.
Every time not possible for me to be available. You have to
Correct.
take lead.
Correct.
I am trying to develop you and you're not taking responsibility.
Yes. Instead of that,
Hmm.
instead of doing that, if we decide as a manager or again as a lead, if we
Hmm.
decide to meet one on one
Hmm.
and ask like this, okay, this has happened, fine. I understand this has happened. You also know this has happened. So instead of, uh, getting into a very negative or rather outburst mode, let's first understand what all had happened,
Hmm.
why all these things, why it has not, and finally from there we'll try to draw a conclusion why this mishap or this kind of screw up happens. So let's do a root cause analysis. Let's do step by step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if we behave like this, then that will be much more rational, which means in future, people will not be afraid at least to give a bad news or this kind of news. Otherwise, what happens if I scream, shout, and all this? Then in future, two things will happen. One, people will be scared to take the responsibility, especially if it is a new responsibility,
Hmm.
because they always have a fear at the back of their mind. By any chance, if I screw, then this fellow will again kick my ass,
Hmm.
kind of. So that is one possibility. And
Hmm.
second is, if there is a problem, like yesterday we were discussing, we try to cover up the problem and all these things. We don't come up with the problem. And the Japanese or Japan incident also, which I have explained, that no problem is the big problem, biggest problem.
No problem is a big problem.
So in that case also, what will happen, that because of the fear of my reaction, the way I will react, people will try to hush up things or push those things below the carpet, try to manage of their own as much as possible, which is not too bad if they can manage by the end of the day. But if they can't manage, in that
Hmm.
case, one fine morning, it will blow up out of the proportion.
Blow up out of proportion.
Exactly. And then it will it will be almost unmanageable. Perhaps nobody can manage. Even I also won't be able to manage. It might get into such a bad state. So this is one example. Successful leader or any successful individual, forget about leader. Whether I'm a leader or not, that's a secondary thing. Any successful individual, communication, conversation plays a very, very, very critical role. So if I can communicate properly, in that case, half of the job is kind
Job
of
is done.
now. Here also one very common myth or misconception, I would say, I will not say myth, misconception, that many of us we have is communication or conversation means I am saying something means I have communicated. So that is the biggest misconception that we often have. So first thing what we need to remember whenever we are talking about communication, conversation, and all these things, that communication, conversation is a two-way process. Only I have said something, that I have said. Whether people on the other side, recipient end, whether they have understood it or not, accepted it or not. Accepted doesn't mean that they will have to put a stamp or sign on a stamp paper or kind of thing. Not like that. But at least acknowledgement that yes, I heard you or I got you. I understood that you have said this. Tomorrow that person should not come back. So I did not understand that you are meaning that. Quite often, if we look at, we have told something to our team or a particular team member to or the entire team, whoever it might be, or sometimes even supervisor also, the seniors also. So this is this, and we thought, we assumed that that point has been well taken, well accepted. People have understood, people have got the essence of it, but ultimately, at later point of time, we found that things are not moving in that direction the way we want. So then when we cross check, I have told you this. Is that, is that so? But I have not. I thought that you have told it in a different way or different meaning or something. I mean, people give some different reason. In simple term, we can say that people will say, I have not understood that you are exactly looking at this or referring this or expecting this kind of thing. I mean, depending on what kind of information or what kind of message we have passed. So that's very important part. I mean, understanding and at least get an, again, not an in writing kind of thing, but through various body language and all these things, that it has been accepted or well taken, understood at least. Message has gone basically. Uh, that is point number one. Point number two is, whenever we are talking about conversation, communication, and all these things, whatever, I mean, the reason we have kept it at point, I mean, topic or module number 3 is, we still, I mean, we have two things, whatever we have covered, that these learnings we need to use. That is
Yes.
our listening skill learning
Mm.
and also EI learning. Not the
Yes.
whole, but at least part of it,
Mm.
main essence of it.
Mm.
Those things we need to implement. And those learnings play a pretty important role in terms of making the communication or conversation really active conversation or active communication.
Right.
So now if we look at various different, or to start with, we always say that any communication, any conversation must be real conversation, REAL. Now what is this real conversation? Let me share my screen here so that
Real. Acha.
real,
Okay.
REAL. R stands for
Oh.
so we need to ensure that the conversation matters, or the conversation matters to all the concerned person. In other words, whatever I am saying, whatever message I am communicating, whatever conversation or communication as a whole
Ah.
is happening, everybody, the people on the other side, the other concerned people, they are interested. There's something for them. Right. Second point is effective. If a conversation is effective, then what happens? Then all the concerned people will feel accomplished after the conversation. Now, how to make a conversation effective?
This is a communication on whose perspective I'm talking on. From me to the other person, or the communication going back and forth.
Back and forth. Back and forth.
Acha.
Second is effective. When once the conversation is over, completed, everybody, all the concerned people should have some takeaway. So that's why we are saying that we'll feel accomplished after the conversation. Everybody will have some takeaway. Third, affirming. It ensures that the conversation shows respect to everyone who is involved in the conversation. Everyone should be respected. Let's take an example, which we have discussed during our listening skill area also. Might be because of our childhood learning habit and whatsoever it might be. Some junior person was there in the meeting, might be the junior most, and he or she said something or tried to say something, and they said, boss, you are too junior. You don't have anything to, you don't need to open your mouth. You are here just to, just as a statue. Whether you understand something or not, I don't care. So you can't participate basically. So in that case, at least from that participant, the affirmation will also not come. And last L for legitimate. So this ensures that the conversation that is important and matters to all the concerned people. So of course, when we are having a pure business conversation, there also there also, depending on the type of business, the type of relationship, business relationship that we are going to have, sometimes some personal information also becomes very handy. For example, again, if we go back to our insurance selling example. So when a person is meeting a prospect to sell some insurance policy, whatever the kind of insurance it might be, or might be even some savings scheme kind of thing. In those cases, if the salesperson knows that the client or the prospect's family, who all are there, what this fellow do, what is his or her age, the time remaining for the retirement, if it would be great, if he or she, I mean the salesperson knows the prospects some unfulfilled ambitions also. So in those cases, it becomes easy. I will give an example. Suppose I'm trying to sell, say, money back or those endorsement kind of scheme, where I will invest, or I need to invest, or the customer or the client needs to invest for 10 years, 15 years, or whatever it might be, for a period of time, and then either lump sum the whole amount will be back, or uh, every month or every year a portion he will start getting back in his account regularly, so on and so forth. Those kind of scheme. Now, assume the person whom I am meeting, he has only 5 years to retire. Now, if I try to sell this kind of policy, which is a tenure of, I mean, investment tenure for 10 years or 15 years, most likely it is not being sold, because after 5 years, when I will retire, and assuming that the person is not in a high ranking government job, or which fetches the good amount of pension, if that is not there, in that case, obviously my regular income, the bank account credit kind of thing, that will stop after once I retire. So obviously I will not have the capacity to continue the investment after my retirement. Every year make some investment, good amount of investment. Now, in that case, that's a wrong thing. So perhaps in those cases, or in that scenario, I need to propose something which is for 4 or 5 years max, till the person's retirement. And then perhaps maybe 5 more years of locking period, or ideally immediately after retirement, that person will start getting some return. So if that is the case, in that case, there is a possibility the person might be interested. I mean, the chances will be more. So I can make the pitch in this way that, see, after retirement, since in your job there is no pension, how about having a de facto, or a rather indirect pension kind of thing? You invest this much of money today for 5 years every year, and then after that, once you retire, you will start getting some regular income. So that will be beneficial for you that way. Or if the person has some unfulfilled dream, I mean the job or the work, job, business, or whatever it might be, the person is doing today. Uh, Now he or she is not getting time, say for example, going some uh, tra- traveling to some exotic location or something like that, which is expensive, of course. Today, expense, perhaps, I mean the person is pretty wealthy. So today, expense of the money is not the problem. Where this person is getting stuck today is time. I don't have time today. But yes, after retirement, I will have time. So in those cases, what can be the way it can be sold is, see, after retirement, you will get this much of money. So in that case, even it can be a lump sum amount, or yearly a good volume of money or amount of money, and you can use it after retirement. See, you like to visit, say, Egypt or this place, or Europe. How about your Europe tour? You don't have to fund from your uh, retirement, or the fixed fund, whatever you will get after retirement. This money you are investing today, and after retirement, this money every year will help you for a maybe some year Europe tour, some year US tour, some year Latin America tour, so on and so forth. This assume two people are having a conversation or going to have a conversation, and both the person do not trust each other, or at least one person doesn't trust the other guy. And how the other guy behaves or feels, that's secondary. I mean, if no one trusts no one, then it's an extreme situation. But at least one person doesn't trust the other fellow. That is also pretty serious. Now, if that happens, then shall we have a real conversation? We will not. Another very important thing is, for trust building, always we need to keep in mind, is it takes hell lot of time to build a trust-based relationship. But it takes a few seconds, or might be few minutes, or might be few instances to spoil the trustworthy or trusted relationship. Start is
Yes,
managing
managing high performing team.
team.
Very important.
Very important. We are talking about or managing or leading a high performing team. It comes with its own challenge. The second thing which sometimes we make a mistake or we kind of miss out is, whenever we are talking about high performing team or working with a high performing team, managing a high performing team and all these things, we kind of tend to forget some of the basics of team management. Like, for example, many of times, again, I will go back to our social style, which we were discussing some time back, because in this case, as a leader, my social style plays a very important role. For example, if my social style is analytical, as we were discussing earlier, and in that case, I would prefer to go by data points. I love data. I love the data points, and most of my decision making happens through sheer numbers, facts and figures. I usually do not care much about the emotion or the emotional factors. Now, if people know about my social style, then what is going to happen is the advantage. My people means my team member. The advantage is they can behave the way I usually look things up. So, in that case, we can reduce the possibility of conflict. See, one challenge, very honestly speaking, whenever we are talking about managing a team, managing people, we can't make everyone satisfied. That is the kind of very basic, well-known factor. Now, when we cannot satisfy everyone, at the same time, I mean, though we know that, we can't have a team with a good number of dissatisfied people also.
Yes.
So it may happen that I am not satisfied, but I am not dissatisfied also. I am kind of a neutral position, which is still okay, much better than being dissatisfied, because begin with the end in mind. Now, this is also very interesting. So, the philosophy behind this is identify the end goal. If we talk about, forget about the corporate world and all these things. Let's take our life. What is the end goal of our life? What I want to achieve in my life? Now, if that idea or that thing is very clear in my head, in that case, the advantage is I will plan or I will prepare myself to reach there. If I don't know what I want to achieve, what I want to be by the end of my life, what I want to achieve by the end of my life, in that case, my life gets screwed. In the sense, in simple word, we cannot reach there. It's not possible to reach there because my mission, my vision itself is not very clear. So now if we go back to the corporate world, or according to the habit part, right? To become successful. I mean, all these habits, what Stephen Covey has said, is the characteristics or the things which we need to demonstrate to become successful.
Successful.
So if I know what, say for example, in our career, forget about the life. Life is a much bigger thing. Career. Forget about the end goal of our individual career. Right now, the function which I am managing, what I want to achieve, maybe 1 year down the line, ideally first, say 5 years down the line, then gradually break it down to 1 year down the line, what I want to achieve to that.
This is more pertaining to career, like or personal life.
Could be career, could be personal life, no, could be organization part also. If you are the leader who is determining whether to take this project or what is this project about, see, what we are thinking that in the project it will be said, it will be mentioned that what is the end goal, what should happen. Think about a leader who is initiating a project. Think about a person like you, for example, you are the secretary of your apartment or your society, and you are thinking that next 2 years or within 1 year or 2 years down the line, we want to reduce the electricity bill which is being spent for the lighting in the common area, lighting up the common areas and all these places day in and day and night. We want to reduce that electricity bill by 50%, 80%. So this is your end goal. So begin with the end in the mind. So that is the end goal. That's what you want to
Yes.
To achieve that, what you need is, it will be good if you implement solar panels, solar power. If you switch to the solar power, as a result of that, your dependency on CESC or the regular electricity supply board will reduce, and as a result of that, your electricity bill will come down drastically.